I'm a boxer. I'm in the back seat of Billy's blue Ford Mondeo as we drive up the M2 and I'm absolutely shitting myself. Billy drives me everywhere these days. Anywhere I have to go where it is possible to get from A to B on four wheels, Billy drives. But this is our first trip together, our maiden voyage. Joe is in the passenger seat and they're arguing about something or other like they always do. About what? I've no clue. I'm listening to them, but I don't hear anything. The butterflies that awoke in my stomach a few hours before have now fluttered all through my body. Even my head and ears feel full of them. The state I'm in, it would be a struggle to confirm my full name and date of birth, never mind take part in a coherent conversation. But I'm Carl Frampton, born on the 21st of February 1987. That makes me 7 years old and on my way to make my ring debut. The fight had only been made a couple of days prior, late notice even by the chaotic standards of matching kids and no decision amateur boxing matches in Ireland. Billy had received a call from Scorpion Boxing Club in Ballymoney. They were looking for a kid to fight one of their lads at the Causeway Coast Hotel in Portstewart on Friday evening. This age, this size, this weight, this experience. Aye, Billy would have said, we have someone. The late notice may have been a blessing in disguise. It didn't give me much time to actually think about what was happening. No time for the nerves to fester and to swell and explode inside of me. It felt like I had been told I was fighting 1 minute and the next I was in the car on my way to the venue. Only now was the reality of my situation dawning on me. What am I doing? I've only been going to the boxing club a couple of months. I have a sense I'm decent, but sparring your mates isn't the same. First off, it's only sparring, and second, maybe my mates are all shit. I can look back now and appreciate that Billy and Joe saw my potential. They knew what they were doing, they knew how good I was, even then, and that I, more than any other kid in the club, could handle this. How many other times have the pair of them done a 3-hour round trip just to bring one solitary 7-year-old boxer to make his debut? That tells you the faith they had in my ability, but as I say, sat in the back seat of the car as the North Coast approaches, I don't know any of that yet. The atmosphere around the ring was like so many others in those days, a rowdy crowd in a smoke-filled room. All men, drinking and looking forward to young fellas battering each other. I'm clearly the away fighter here, and by the insular standards of my North Belfast upbringing, I'm a long way from home. Overseas internationals aside, my dad would rarely miss another one of my fights as an amateur, and never as a professional, throughout my 27-year career. But the 2-day notice wasn't enough for him to arrange time off work, so it's just me, Billy, and Joe versus the rest for this one. That's not to say anyone from my opponent's side tried to intimidate me. It wasn't like that. It was never really like that while boxing in Northern Ireland. It wasn't like that when later I, a wee prod from Tigers Bay, walked into Provy drinking dens in West Belfast to fight, so certainly no one in Portstewart that night was being deliberately menacing. But it was all very daunting, nevertheless. When you really sit back and think about it from the view of a 7-year-old kid, how could it not be? I was 7, but few who met me back then believed it. Most would have guessed 5. I was basically a midget, a full head shorter than my peers. My arms must have been in proportion because the gloves we used to spar in at the club came up to my elbow when laced. Huge 14-ounce jobs that I'm sure had been in circulation for at least 15 years before I had my turn with them. The size and heft of them meant it took all my effort just to throw a punch, and that punch was invariably a big straight arm swing as I couldn't bend my elbow. On this night, however, the gloves were different. 10 ounces. 4 ounces may not sound a lot, and in most walks of life it isn't, but when it comes to boxing gloves, it's a substantial weight. Now we're talking, I thought, as they were laced up and my elbow could still breathe. I threw a few punches at the air around me. Wow, this is what it's supposed to feel like. They say when you fight, the increased adrenaline pumping through your body prevents you feeling the majority of physical pain being inflicted upon you by your opponent. I was so full of adrenaline when I clambered into the ring that I was numb to not only pain but every other emotion and sensation, physical or psychological. I'm not even sure I could see, hear or think. You soon get used to it, of course, the process and procedures that precede the fight. You know you get in and relax, move around the ring and stay loose. Your rival still has to enter the arena. There'll be announcements and instructions, there'll be walks to the centre and back to your corner, there'll be last minute advice from your coach. It's second nature by the second fight, but on your debut you're too nervous and bewildered to function normally. It's a cliche, but the comparison with a dog getting let off the leash is not too far off the mark, and when the bell goes, you're free. I'd be lying if I said.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.